ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our singing star, Miss Kitty Reed.
Hello world, this is Miss Kitty Reed, and Ruthie and I are here to discuss The Masquerading of Margaret. This is a book from 1908 by Cora Cottschalk Welty. In Indiana, a Swiss Amish couple, known to all as Uncle David and Aunt Barbara, live with their 19-year-old daughter, Rose McCullough, who they adopted when she was a baby. Rose secretly hopes to experience the outside world and prays to know who her biological parents are. One of Uncle David's relatives has a daughter near Rose's age. Margaret is tired of her high society life and so goes to stay with Rose's family to experience country life, which she greatly prefers. Margaret and Rose quickly become friends. Margaret asks to wear Rose's clothes and not tell people who she really is, so she can pretend to be Amish. Robert Jackson, who is renting a small house on Uncle David and Aunt Barbara's property, happens upon Margaret. They talk and go out, and soon they fall in love. Jackson asks Margaret to marry him, but she panics as he still thinks she is Amish. She's touched that he loves her for herself and not her family's wealth, but she thinks he will never love her after she has deceived him. Jackson is soon called away, and he has no idea if Margaret loves him or not. Jackson is called before a grand jury in regards to his dealings as part of the oil company he works for. While he is gone, Margaret takes Rose to Sulphur Springs, a resort of the rich. Rose can now invert Margaret's masquerade. She dresses in Margaret's clothes while at the resort. While there, she meets and falls in love with Ralph Dinsmore, a young minister soon to go to the Philippines as a missionary. Margaret meets Dick Conway, who falls in love with her. However, Dick is Jackson's best friend. Dick overhears a drunken confession. A man who embezzled money from the oil company framed Jackson for the crime, and that is why he is before the grand jury. Dick tells Margaret, who tells him that she is in love with Jackson and that her father is the judge on the case. Margaret contacts her father and tells him to come to her at Uncle David's house. Ralph, meanwhile, was called away on the mission but hopes to send for Rose to marry him in the Philippines. Margaret explains everything to her father, who, after Jackson provides financial records to prove his innocence, sends for the other man to be arrested and lets Jackson go free. On the boat to the Philippines, Ralph meets a man and they begin to talk about their lives. Ralph mentions that he is in love with a woman named Rose McCullough. This man is Rose's biological father. He, Rose's mother, and Rose were in a car accident. Rose's mother was killed and Rose's father was critically injured. Rose was placed in temporary foster care, the woman in charge of Rose's case died, there was no paperwork, and Rose was given to Uncle David and Aunt Barbara, who never read the newspapers where Rose's father continually placed ads to try to find his daughter. When Rose comes to the Philippines, she meets her long-lost father. She marries Ralph and they enjoy their lives as missionaries. Jackson and Margaret get married as well, and everyone lives happily ever after. The end. What a cute story. This was just an enjoyable book. There is plenty of love and humor. At first I was a little worried the book will be overly critical of the Amish, but the author is equal opportunity. She praises the Amish as well as rural life while she gently pokes fun at them. Margaret and Rose got what they wanted in the end, justice was served, and everyone benefited from their time among the Amish. This book also gives us insights into making cheese, hotels of the rich, the oil industry, and basket weaving. The language was not too old-fashioned that contemporary readers would be completely lost. One thing that did make the book stand out was that the narrator often interjected with an opinion. We got commentary on love and family, as well as messages against gambling. There was a section on how gambling is bad, and how the hotel and surrounding town worked to rid itself of gambling and corruption that had nothing to do with the story. If this book were written today, an editor would have immediately cut it. The narrator's voice is too strong and the message too heavy-handed. While I would agree, many books today are trying to make a moral point, they just don't come out and say it right away like this one does. I would rather be hit over the head with an anti-gambling tangent than find subtle ideology trying to worm its way into the text. I had thought Sabina, a book I reviewed last May, was the oldest Amish fiction book. In a way it is, because it focuses more on Amish life and its implications than this book, but Sabina was written in 1911, and this was written in 1908. It is notable that even in this time, before much of the modern technology the Amish are famous for rejecting, the Amish are still markedly different in dress and culture, even from their rural neighbors. I am glad to have had this little glimpse into the time period. This is the 3rd anniversary of Amish Book Club. I'm so happy to have gotten to share these stories with all of you. Thank you to Cameraman X who makes all of this possible, as well as the fans of this channel. I am excited to start Season 4 of Amish Book Club with Johanna's Bridegroom by Emma Miller. Check with your local library to find this book or see if you can get it through interlibrary loan. This is Miss Kitty Reed and Ruthie signing off. See you in Season 4 of Amish Book Club.
Living in the rhythm that I'm speaking of. You'll be happy in your work if you're in love.